Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. Of course, this will also be on Aging in Place Directory, YouTube, and podcasts and social media. I am so happy today to be introducing someone a little different than we normally interview. And this is Bill Vicary with justcallbill.net, which I love that domain name. That was a great find. So Bill does something that I think is very important for older adults. He educates them and hopefully, probably truthfully, makes them more comfortable with all the technology that is popping up every single day. So Bill, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. I mean, this really is up my wheelhouse. My interest is always trying to help my friends, my family, to get more comfortable with technology. They think I'm very techy. I think I'm just learning like everybody else because new things come out every single day. I can't keep up.
Absolutely. I'm the same way.
I think we all are.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's part of it also. You can tell me what you think, but I think most people think they have to be experts or, on using whatever. But I think once they realize that everyone is in the learning phase, I think they feel more comfortable. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a generation like us that didn't grow up with technology.
Right.
And so whether you're 55 or 95, that's that range of people. So um, a lot of them in a corporate life might have had the IT person or that person that came in, or maybe an assistant or an admin that did it for them, and now they're retired and they don't
Yeah.
have their people, if you will.
Right.
And so it's interesting that there's what I've found probably in the last 2 years, and I never realized this exists, but an extreme peer pressure from family and friends to adapt and use technology.
Ah, that's interesting
So,
because,
an example, so I teach an iPhone class. And so in the class, inevitably somebody will say, well, how do I know if I need a new phone? Or my son told me I need a new phone. And I said, well, do you know how much a new phone cost? And so there's this pressure of the son saying, Dad, buy the phone. And then when I tell the adult, the dad, I said, well, this is $1,000 telephone.
right,
Well, that's expensive. Do I need $1,000 phone? No, you don't.
right.
And if your son really thinks you need one, then why doesn't he buy you one for Father's Day or your birthday or for Christmas?
Good
And then,
tip.
I tried to keep it a little light, but
Right.
in terms of the kids, or, well, Bill says I should get a new phone. I was just with a man this week, and well, I think I need a new phone. Why? Well, it's old. Well, it's only 3 or 4 years old. That
Yeah.
means it's probably in his mid 80s. The phone will outlive him if it's a new one. And so part of what I want to work with them is to really understand, one, the pressure doesn't have to be there, but my motto is I want them to use technology as much or as little as they want,
Right.
not what somebody else is dictating them to do.
I think that's excellent. You're right. They have to be comfortable with it in order to get comfortable with it and to use it, to want to use it,
Right.
versus I have to use it kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
my
true.
motto in my company is when I'm working with someone or teaching or doing an educational program, this is I want you to learn your technology to be more confident, more effective, and more safe. And if
Exactly.
and you can't do all three, then you really shouldn't be doing it, because
Ex-
the safe part is the scam part. And we could talk for days on that. But I say all of that is if they don't know how to use it confidently and effectively, something bad's going to happen.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. And that goes along, I mean, yeah, obviously that's a good motto. I know the motto on your website, at least if I remember right, on the homepage is you're never too old to learn.
Yes.
And I love that because so many of my friends, I'm 68, And so many of my friends in my age group have kind of, just they're relaxing. They're not learning, they're not challenging themselves every day. They're doing the same thing every day. And I have a difficult time with that. I like learning. I
Sure.
like, finding new things, and it's challenging at times, it gives me a lot of gray hair, but
I can
that's
relate.
yeah, I love it. That's okay. So I just think it's so important to because not only does it make you feel a little alive, but it also, I think, eventually makes you useful for the people around you, your friends, because safety, of course, is a big issue. Staying as independent and as safe as possible for as long as possible. And we're so lucky that these days technology can help us do that. Whereas 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't there.
Yeah, and I totally agree. So it's interesting in the world you're in, you probably know this, but maybe some of your listeners or people watching don't. So look what happened during the pandemic. We
Yeah,
couldn't go see people, they couldn't come see us. And so we became disconnected with our friends and family and things we like to do.
right.
And so many times when I teach, I'll ask people, I said, so what did you do to stay connected to your family and friends during the pandemic? And probably 8 out of 10 are like, well, nothing. I call them every now and then, but I couldn't go see them. And I said, well, you have this, and
Right.
this was your connector.
Right.
This, you have the ability to see and talk to someone anywhere in the world for free.
I
And
know.
and and most of them have been carrying around a smartphone for 4 or 5 years at least, and they didn't know it. The old saying, you don't know what you don't know. And so
Wow.
introduce them to, everybody, like we're on Zoom today. Oh, well, this new thing, Zoom. Well, it's been around a long time. And FaceTime on your iPhone has been around since almost when it was invented.
Right.
And so there's many tools out there that all of a sudden there's this aha moment. Well, it's now you fast forward and there's all these studies that have been done showing what happened to the isolation of people during the pandemic because
Yeah.
they became disconnected.
Yeah.
Anxiety went up, illness went up, stress went up. I mean, you could go on and on and on. So it's not a good thing for, at least for most humans, like to be around other humans.
Right.
And there are the few that, want to be in the woods all by themselves and, you know, never come out.
Yeah.
But most of us like to have that interaction. And so the technology I look at is it's not the be all to end all, but it can be a connection, and that's the key word, to all aspects of living a better life.
Exactly. It's a good bridge. It's a good
Yes,
bridge. As you say, it's not the end all, but it's a good bridge. I mean, honestly, I think these days never have so many people been able to do so much with so little. You know,
absolutely.
it's
Yep,
it
yep.
it's incredible. So how did you get started? What was your background that brought you to this, amazing niche?
So if you'd have told me 10 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd say you're crazy. I'm a degreed engineer that went
O-
into marketing and sales in the engineering construction business.
Okay.
I was the atypical engineer that could speak in front of people and not doing embarrassing things in public, and
Okay.
and had a very successful career. And while I was doing that, I had an iPhone. And
Okay.
I had an older friend of mine that had an iPhone, and he was constantly asking me, well, you got one of those newfangled phones. But what really pushed it over the edge was he gave his old phone to his wife, who had a flip phone,
Okay.
and she didn't know how to use the iPhone, and he didn't have the time or the patience to teach her.
Okay.
So, dear, dear friends to this day, he has since passed away. But
Sorry.
every time they would come to our house or we'd go to their house, she would say, oh, can you show me how to whatever? And I said, sure. And one day at his house, their house, we were having a cup of coffee, and he walked in and says, what are y'all doing? And whatever we were doing that day, he left, came back with his phone and sat down and said, I don't know how to do that. Show me too. And
Wow.
so it really kind of evolved into this. And they lived 100 miles away from me in South Carolina. And he said, well, there's no Apple store in the town we live in. So I traveled to your town to go to the Apple store at the mall. And he's completely frustrated with the environment of the store because it's really not conducive for most people to learn in.
Yeah.
There's a person teaching you that doesn't look like anybody because they have purple hair and things in their ear and many tattoos, and they're
Yeah.
speaking a language you don't know,
Yeah.
and almost condescending. And so he would
Yeah.
constantly ask me to show him and help him. And I said, Mel, there has to be a place where you live that can do this. So anyway, fast forward in my entrepreneurial brain, I started doing some research, and he was right. There was no place to go. There was
Wow.
no senior center. There was no community college. There was no college. There was nowhere. And almost to this day, 9 years later, there's still not.
Wow.
So it started as a whim, as a marketing and sales guy. I wanted to test my theory. So I went to the second largest senior center in the state of South Carolina is 10 minutes from my house. I went over and talked to the executive director, and I was in there 10 minutes, and she said, so you could be here Monday and start your classes, right? And I said, I don't have any classes. I'm testing a theory.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I've been looking for somebody like you for 5 years.
Wow.
And so because you think about it, any place seniors gather or where they live, whether it's church, a center, a community, they're constantly walking up to the staff going, can you help me?
Yeah.
Can you help me with my email? I got this thing and I don't know if it's a scam or not, or whatever the question may be.
Yeah.
Well, the staff wants to help them because of good customer service, but they don't have the time and maybe not the knowledge.
Right.
So to to fast forward a little further, I developed an iPhone class and an iPad class to test the theory, and that's where it really launched. And so to this day, I teach at colleges, universities, senior centers, senior communities, and then it led to creating other educational programs because the phone is and iPad are very hands-on in a group or can be one-on-one at the house. But I would have many because I build a high level of trust with the seniors because now I've spent many hours with them in their phone, get to know them personally, and then they come to me and say, my daughter said since I came to your class with my phone, can you teach? Do you know anything about this Uber thing? This taxi. My mom says if I know how to use my phone, I can do Uber. And I said, well, your mom's right. And so over the years, I've created more than 25 different educational programs based upon what the seniors have come to me or the family members to say, hey, we want to learn more about whatever the topic is.
I think that's amazing. So what are other topics besides iPhone education that you've developed?
So the number one class I do right now, meaning most frequent and I think most needed, is about scams. It's about scam
Yeah.
education it's kind of a three-part. So what type of scams are out there? What do they look like? Part two is how to prevent them. There's a 17-point checklist that doesn't matter how old you are, you should be going through and proactively doing them now. And then the third part is what do you do if you have been scammed? And the hardest part with people that have been scammed is admitting it because
So
they're
I'm
embarrassed,
sorry, what?
is admitting they've been scammed.
Admitting it. True. That's true.
So they're embarrassed. They don't want to tell anyone. Uh, they may have lost some money or a lot of money. Um, I'm working with a family right now that lost $1.2 million. They lost everything, everything. And the daughter got involved. She suspected something was going on, but here's a little, and we can delve into this more, but she couldn't go help her parents at the bank because her parents didn't have all the legal paperwork,
Mm.
i.e., power of attorney.
Right.
So the bank said, I know you're the daughter, but legally I can't do anything. So
Yeah.
that's why I created this checklist. That's the number one thing on the list. Have your documents in order so that someone can help. It's not if, it's when. Whether hopefully it's not a scam, but we're all going to die, and or you may get sick, and who's going to take care of you? So
Exactly. I put that number one on a lot of my checklists as well. You
yeah,
have got to have the documents in order. And what are you waiting for? It's worth every
it,
penny
it
of
seems to
doing
be
it.
a taboo topic.
Well,
Uh,
there's a
they
lot.
think it's bad juju or bad luck or whatever term you want to lose. Or, geez, if we talk about it today, I'm going to die tomorrow. And
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like, we're going to
no.
die sometime. So, the second most popular one I do is how to manage, and it relates kind of to what we're just talking about, is how to manage your digital and your personal assets. So
Good. That's a
digital
very good
is
one.
usernames and passwords. Do you have them written down or somewhere that someone can find them easily that you trust? And then secondly, the um, personal assets are, where's your stuff?
Right.
Who's your doctor? Do you have a safety deposit box? Where's the bank you go to? So it's a whole checklist and a booklet that's used to go through. Another one is technology for healthcare. An
Yes.
introduction to my chart and telemed.
Yes.
And again, if you have one of these or some piece of technology, it goes back to that aging in place. It's easier, it's more comfortable. And again, you don't have to be, the rocket scientist or the computer wizard, but
Right.
it can make life a whole lot easier. So, I mean, I could talk to you for days. So,
Well, there's so much. That's the thing. There are so many little aspects of life that can be affected, that can be modified, that can be amplified, that can be made safer. And I mean, the whole idea, I think, of aging in place is to build, is to maintain as much independence as possible for as long as possible. And that basically means staying safe, whether
right.
it be from scams, whether it be from falling, whether it be protecting yourself if and when anything were to happen, as far as legal documents, monitoring devices, whatever whatever it is that you need or may need in the future. I think it just makes sense. It just absolutely makes sense. And talk about, bad juju. I mean, the bad juju comes if you don't do anything, because
Exactly.
then that's as an OT, I worked with so many families. As you know, many family caregivers get thrown into that family caregiving because something happened and nothing was prepared. I
Well,
mean,
and to that, to follow that line of thought, so the engineer in me is that planner, the proactive, what are
right,
you going to do? And even not plan A, but plan B and maybe plan C. So
exactly.
I've been thinking about this a lot over the last year or so. There's this term aging in place has been around for a little while, but now
Mhm.
there's another term of solo aging. And
Yes,
so I have a lot of friends like you in the industry, and what we're finding is most families don't proactively prepare.
right.
And so, with that, a catastrophic event occurs, like in your previous world of an OT, and in my world, I've been scammed. Dad died, and we don't know where the passwords are. So I got to thinking about how can technology help in this solo aging in place. And so I'm a very visual person. So I said, well, okay, so what are the main aspects of aging in place or solo aging? So legal, healthcare, finance, security, social, and housing. And then we could, there's many things in there, but the senior and the family are the hub. I kind of look at those as a little
Yeah,
bubble on the wheel.
yeah,
But what connects those? It's the technology.
right,
So my question I asked them is, what's your plan? Well, you're not going to cut your grass when you're 85 years old. So
right.
who's going to do it?
Right.
How are you going to communicate with them? And so whether it's you or maybe someone on your behalf, but again, proactively put a plan together today because, well, as you well know, well, and my father, he's a poster child for many things that I do, um, is, well, I'm staying in my house as long as I can. You're going to take me out of my house in a wooden box.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but if
Yeah.
you're going to do that, we have to make some, we have to put a team together of how do you get to do that?
Right. Exactly.
And so, but many people don't think about that. Well, I'm just going to stay. It's more of an emotional thing, not a realistic thing.
Exactly. It's emotional. I mean, the two main factors are it's emotional and it's financial. I get it. I understand that. But at the same time, without that planning, all you're doing is, passing on the drama and trauma to the family and, your loved ones. I mean, why, if you really love them, why would you put them through that? But
Yeah, and they're difficult conversations because I
it,
had to have
they
those with
are.
my dad. But I look back, I learned a lot, and this is why one of the many reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing is I just feel that this is a calling that I have, and to be a senior advocate to family and friends to just say, hey, think about this
I,
because
I, I love it. I really do, because being a senior, you can not only relate, and also having been a caregiver, family caregiver, you can relate from that aspect as well. But I think being a senior, that audience can connect with you, better than the 20-year-old or 25-year-old with the purple hair and the big ring in the ear, whatever
right,
that
right, right.
is. I don't get that, but okay.
Yeah,
Um,
to each his own.
yeah, each to his own. But yeah, no, I think that is very important, coming in like that. But now you're giving these classes, so you're just one person. So unless you figured out how to clone yourself, how are you looking to spread with? Are you looking to have others do what you do in other communities?
Um, Ideally, yes, but it's so unique.
I
What I've
know.
found, I'm older than you by about
Okay.
a year or two, and so I could be retired, but I'm not, and I'm like you. I'm enjoying this. I
Yeah.
feel that this is very satisfying. Yes, I get to make a little bit of money. Um, I'm enjoying get to take the summer off for the most part. But I
Good.
say all of that is what I found, this is not an IT job. This is a company that creates relationships and education. The
Yeah.
IT is kind of a third or fourth part of it.
Yeah.
I'm not an IT guy. I have figured this out. I do have an IT person that I team with.
Yeah.
So, so in addition to the classes, we do local IT tech support.
Oh,
So within like 100-mile radius, we can come to your house and fix your TV and your computer and set up the doorbell and diagnose your email and clean your computer from scam. Um, People said, well, yeah, you should think about a franchise. Well, maybe, ideally, oh, well, you should do what you're doing, a podcast and a YouTube channel. I've found I'm really terrible at video editing. And I can do a lot of things, but that's one thing. And maybe because my OCD is just a little wants to, but I say all of that is I have found this to be extremely effective in person.
yeah.
Now I have
Obviously, yeah.
done it, through the pandemic and after the pandemic, and I've been guest speakers at conferences and stuff, virtually. But I love to have an audience that I can look at. I can read the room. I can, be able to react. So I've done a lot of speaking here in South Carolina. I've been on podcasts, TV shows, radio shows, and all that kind of stuff. Um, I guess it would depend on the person and the place of what it looked like to take it somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking the benefits of what you're doing are so great for the
Mhm.
audience, but obviously you're just one person. How can you spread yourself, to others? Have you thought about using, well, even no, you really couldn't use students, because the benefit, I think that the angle, I don't know if you want to call it angle, is that you are in that age group. And I think being in that same age group of who you're teaching, I think they feel more comfortable with you. I mean, you can tell me, but
Yes, yeah,
that's what I would
because
feel that
it
way.
is a peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's
Um,
peer to
and
peer.
sometimes I'm the same age as their children, and then sometimes I'm, you know, close. But you alluded to something with children. So I created a program, a couple of years ago, and it kind of modeled after a program in Florida, and I call it here Bridging the Gap. So what I've done is I've partnered with local high school students, like through their honors program or their beta program, because every high school student needs community hours to graduate.
Oh,
And so what I've done is, and I'm getting ready to do this in the fall and this winter at my church, is so what I do is I go meet with high school students and they've agreed to volunteer for a couple hours. And what they're going to do is help me provide free tech help to senior adults. So we have a location that we'll go to, whether it's at a senior center or community or a church. And so the seniors say, okay, tomorrow from 2 to 4, you can come over and you can bring your phone, your tablet, or a computer, and you're going to get help by a high school student or me or some other educated adult. So they sign up and they get about 15, 20 minutes of free help. So part of it is, as you well know, most older people think anybody under 30 is a computer whiz, and
yeah,
especially if you're in high school.
yeah,
So that is kind of a misnomer, but so part of it is it's a cool thing that so the kids, I give them a little prep and what's going to happen. And, first of all, say if you see a scam, then let me know and we'll address that separately because I don't want to have them be put in that situation. But 95% of the time they can help whoever they're meeting with right then. And what we do is we pre-sort them to say, are you an Apple person? Are you an Android person, a PC person, so that we match them to the right helper. But my ulterior motive is I want to create an intergenerational relationship
yes,
outside of technology.
yes,
And it happens every time.
yes,
And so, what the kids, I teach them, as I said, I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to shake hands, ask them their name, and then ask them how you can help. Well, immediately the walls come down with both of them. The kids jump in and start helping, and all of a sudden there's a dialogue,
yeah,
a personal dialogue, so that the kids may or may not have a grandma or grandpa that lives locally, and
right.
vice versa. The older people may not have grandchildren close by, and all of a sudden I have to separate them. I said, look, your time's up. You have to come back. And so it's been an amazing experience. Um,
Wow.
but it's been, again, face to face, one on one, because it's more powerful. What I've found, so during the pandemic, I got asked to teach my iPhone class through Zoom. And as I'm talking to the administrator at the college, I'm going, this is a really bad idea. I am not comfortable with this. I said,
Okay.
I see how people struggle just with their phone,
Yeah,
and I also see how they struggle with Zoom.
yeah.
Now we're going to put them together and we're going to have people crying and swearing at me. Um,
And
but I
not
will
coming
tell
back.
you, we came at it from a different pace,
Yeah.
broke it up in more pieces, and it turned out way better than I ever expected.
Do you know if there's any ongoing, in other words, the student is finished with their 20-minute conversation with Mr. Smith. Do you know if Mr. Smith ever calls back that student for more
Um,
contact?
Not that I know of, and part of it is what I've learned is the schools have lots of rules about engaging their students with
Okay.
outside people, and I get that because I
Yeah.
had to go through some hurdles in understanding, one, to keep the kids safe, and then also the seniors themselves. Um, but every now and then I'll get somebody, hey, have you seen Sean? How's Sean doing? You know, he told me he was going to play golf in college. And I was like, who finds that out in 20 minutes? And
I know. I know. I think that's awesome. And I think it's so important to do that intergenerational, to fill that, especially these days. How many restaurants, how many parks, how many places do you walk into and you see entire families, each one on their phone. They're all
right.
sitting at the same table, but
Yep, yep,
everyone's on their
yep.
phone. So, yeah, communication, I think, is so important. How do you handle when you walk into a room and you've got 20 people, 30 people, whatever? How do you handle the different levels of, someone who barely knows anything and someone who can, how do you handle all those different levels?
That's probably one of the biggest challenges I have. So when I start the iPhone class, the very first thing I do, we do a little introduction, and then I ask them 4 or 5 questions. First one is, what's your name? Second one is, what kind of phone do you have?
Important.
And 8 out of 10 will say Apple.
Okay.
I said, what model? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, okay. So then I show them to know. So that gives me an idea of, do they have an old phone or a new phone?
Okay.
Secondly, I asked them, or third, I asked them, why are you here? You signed up for this class. What do you want to learn? What are the 2 or 3 things you're hoping by the time you leave, when we're finished, you learn? Typically, one answer is everything. And I'm like, so I demystify that right away. And
Yeah.
so I get them to really try to think about, is it pictures? Is it, and it's usually pretty basic stuff. Some are pretty advanced. And then based upon that answer, well, I want to learn how to scan and make PowerPoint presentations and go to, and I'm like, really? On your phone? So again, and then the last question I ask them is, how tech savvy are you? So I do a little quiz with them. So on a scale from 1 to 5, and I go through and define what a 1 is, which is pretty much you don't like technology, and 5 meaning an expert. Um, they're typically in the 2 to 3 range. Every now and then there's a 4.
Makes sense.
And I said, so my goal is after 8, well, pretty much 6 hours in an iPhone class, not all at once. I said, I want to move you up a number, or at least a half a number. And now some are completely afraid of it.
Yeah.
And then some are like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know there was a calendar on my phone.
Yeah.
And then it give me directions to my doctor's appointment or what have you. So there's lots of options. So, but again, that still doesn't go back to your original question. So now I have 10 twos, I have a couple threes and 1 4. The
Yeah.
4 is bored as a stone in the room. So I try to mix it up with stories and applications, and then some advanced applications that some are going, oh, I want to do that, but I don't, and so that is the big challenge is trying to get them. I used to do the class where it was a beginner class and an advanced class, but so many people would come to the advanced class thinking they were advanced and they were not.
Right.
So I just leave it as, this is a 6-part class. Here's what we're going to cover. And it's all hands on. So I don't touch their phone at all, because uh, also in the beginning of that class, I'll ask them, I said, so has this ever happened to you? You take your phone and you go to someone younger than you and you say, can you help me? And what do? They take it from you, they do this, and they hand it back.
Right.
Well, and they're all, the whole room, oh, yeah, yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I said, so part of that is, well, they didn't teach me. I said, well,
Right.
you're asking the wrong person at the wrong time.
Right.
They're typically asking one of their children or grandchildren. So let's just say it's the daughter. Well, mom, it's 4:30. The kids are coming home from school. I got to figure out what's for dinner. I'm tired. It's been a long day. And you're asking me for the 14th time how to attach a picture to a text. So I'm going to do it for you and I'm going to hand it back.
Yeah.
Or they go to their 10-year-old grandson whose favorite topic in school is soccer or recess or lunch. Well, can you show me how? And so that young child does the same thing. So
Yeah.
they're not learning because they're not doing it themselves.
Right.
In the class, I tell them you're going to multitask. So what I do is I mirror my phone to a screen so they see my phone and where I'm going and navigating so that they can follow along. And then there's always a handout. And the handout is because it's the generation of paper. They want stuff that they can, but it's more of an agenda, a bulleted item agenda of this is what we're doing today, but it doesn't tell them how to do it because that's what I'm doing in class. I'm
Right.
showing them firsthand how to do it.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the most important things that a senior can do, that anyone can do, learning anything, whether it's a program or an app or a product, is to just use it. Just
Right.
use it every day, even if you use it for nothing, even if you're just, I don't know, just texting the weather, it doesn't matter. Just practice that particular skill until you get it down and then move on to the next skill, but continuously practice. I mean, what do you wish seniors would do on a regular basis with their phones or iPads or computers?
I think, like you said, is practice. A lot
Practice.
of them is, they're walking around with an $800 telephone and
Yeah.
they're using it as a telephone.
Yeah.
Maybe they text, most of them are going to call, text, and some email.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of them want to be on Facebook, and that scares the bejesus out of me because this is where a lot of scams start.
Yeah.
And I could go on and on about that, but so part of it is again, they don't know what they don't know. So like on Facebook, change your settings to private.
Yeah.
Don't have everybody in the world know that you don't look like you did at your high school reunion 20 years ago. And so their pictures there. I was just with a lady the other day. She was on Facebook constantly while I was trying to teach her and at her house. Well, I got to see what the kids are doing, the grandkids are doing this weekend. And when I looked at her profile, her husband was there. I said, you have your maiden name, you have your married name, you have your children's names, all of them, all of your grandchildren, and where you grew up and where you currently live.
Yeah.
You have a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Husband didn't know that. And once he heard that, we changed it. And I
Yeah.
said, and also then her picture. I said,
Yeah.
let's not put your picture there. Let's put the dog's picture or your favorite flower or whatever. Uh,
Right.
but
Right.
again, it's practicing the technology, making sure they have the right technology. Um, Smartphones aren't for everybody.
Right, they're not, but that's the key. The key is to know what in that smartphone is going to work for you at this moment in time.
Right.
It's still a great tool. You don't have to use everything that it does, but you have to be smart about what you do use. What always bothers me is when my friends start posting their pictures of where they are, at a restaurant or on vacation or whatever. To me, that's an invitation to somebody say, "Oh, your house is empty." You know,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't understand that. So when I go out with anyone, if they start taking pictures, I said, "Oh no, don't you dare put me on Facebook or whatever it is that you're putting me on." Don't, I said, "I'm not here. I'm not here, and you don't know me." Um, that's the best
You're
thing.
in the witness protection program.
I am. I should use
Or
that.
if you are going to post it next week.
Yeah, do it later, when you come back from vacation. Say
Right.
last week I did this or whatever, but don't do it now, but you know. Anyway, so tell me about the Life Stats program. What is it and why did you create it?
So I created Life Stats. So that's the program of how to manage your digital and your personal assets.
Okay. Now, do you have apps or products? Like, do you recommend password managers? What do you do in that?
So I do have a product, and I'll show you it in just a minute. Uh,
Okay.
so in that class, I talk about, and it really, again, was a true story. A lady called me one day, and She was very upset on the phone, and she said, I was told you might be able to help me. I said, okay, what's going on? My husband recently passed away. He was the technology guy in my house, and I can't get in the phone. I can't get in the computer. I can't get in the bank account. I can't get in our retirement funds because all the usernames and passwords were in his head.
Oh no.
She couldn't plan his funeral because she couldn't get to the money at the bank or the
Oh my
retirement fund.
God. Oh
The
my
poor
God.
lady hadn't slept in 4 days. And, so long story short, she said, can you help me? And I'm like, you see me, I'm quite chatty. And I didn't have a whole lot. I didn't have an answer for her.
Yeah.
So let me call you back. So I called a couple computer tech friends. And to this day, now we all work together. So we went to her house, and I don't know how to do this, but the tech people do, the IT people. We had to go find the computer, first of all. It was not in a logical place. It was in the closet, like on a floor in a bag. So
Oh
once
my,
we found it, the um, computer person literally hacked into the computer, took about 2 hours. We found everything she needed. She was very, very grateful and appreciative. And on the way home, I'm going, this should never happen to anyone.
I
Why
know.
did this poor lady was going through hell? She couldn't even grieve for her lost husband because she was so worried about where's the money? How do I find this? Where is this? Because as you know, for forever, he does this, she does this, and many times the communication doesn't link.
Right.
So I got to thinking about this, and then as I was caring for my dad, my mom's been gone over 25 years. I said, how, Dad, do you have this stuff written down somewhere? And of course, a man in his mid to late 80s, very independent and stubborn. I got it. Don't worry about it. Well, I'm the power of attorney. I'm the executor of the trust. Where is it? Don't
Right.
worry about it. I got it. Well, as he got sicker, I got worried.
Yeah.
Long story short, we got it together. So I got to think about this, and the more and more I talked about this with other seniors and other professionals in the industry, they're going, Bill, this is horrible. This is what we see every day.
Yeah.
It's no proactive planning.
Yeah.
So I created Life Stats. It's an old school booklet.
Okay.
It's an 8-page document that literally is fill in the blanks.
I love it.
And
I
it's
love
not
it.
digital. It could be digital, but I didn't have an extra $250,000 to encrypt it and put it out there in a safe place. So the cool thing about this is, so I do an educational program and I introduce them to the concept of how do you manage your digital and your personal assets. So where, if you have a safety deposit box, where is it? And where's the key?
Yeah.
Because if not, just that example, if you have one and nobody knows, that's a lawyer and a locksmith and about $5,000.
Yep. Yep.
And so why spend that effort, time, and money if you don't need to?
Right.
Now there's other products out there, but this is one. So all of my content, all of this document, I've created from scratch. There's no manual. There's been no, a lot of advice given, say, hey, you should do this and not that, talking to peers. But, things like, do you have a DD 214 and where is it? Oh,
Yeah.
if you're a veteran, that's really important.
Right.
And so it literally walks them through, fill in the blanks. And then many people say, well, where do I keep this? I said, well, you could put it in the safety deposit box, but tell somebody where it is.
Yes.
And so this has been a really fun class for me to teach because I have lots of real life stories between my dad and other clients that I've worked with. One of my favorite stories. So I'm in this class and I'm teaching. I've said, okay, does everybody understand the importance of this? And this one older gentleman, he had his eyes locked right on me. And I said, you got it? And he goes, I got it. He says, everything's in the safe. His wife's sitting next to him. She goes, we have a safe.
Oh my goodness.
And I went, okay, well, I can't leave this alone. I'm gonna try to have a little fun, but create an educational moment because I had
Yeah.
a room full of 30 or 40 people. And I said, so you have a safe and that lovely lady sitting next to you, you don't know that you have one? No. I said, so you probably don't even know where it would be, right? No. And you probably don't even know the combination. No.
Right.
So I looked at him and he was kind of like slinking down in his chair. And I said, can I give you some advice? He said, well, yeah, I guess. I said, you need to take your wife to a really nice dinner tonight and tell her where everything is.
Yeah.
As I said, if something happened to you, she's in a world of trouble.
Yep.
And you have left her worse off because he was an engineer. He was very analytical. He was very prepared, but he didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So
I
it kind
mean,
of goes to, and you alluded to it, password managers. Well, those are good. But when somebody tells me they use one, I said, does anyone else that you know and trust know that you have one?
of course. What's the point of it if you can't share it
And
with
eight out
at
of
least the
10,
executor of the will? I
eight
mean,
out of 10 of them don't, nobody else knows. And then they say, oh, well, I store it on my computer or I have an Excel spreadsheet on my computer. And I said, so on your computer, do you have it in a folder called usernames and passwords? Oh, no, I put it under like grandma's recipes or so they hide it.
yeah.
So, and I get it, but I said,
Yeah.
if somebody breaks in your house, they're not going to go deep diving into your computer looking for stuff. So I said, this is something that has to be easily accessible.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is with your important papers, with your POA and your will and your trust.
Right.
Uh, it could be scanned and put other places, but so I teach the class and then at the end I sell the book. And
Awesome.
a lot of people buy them as gifts, you know, that, oh, well, we came and I'm going to give one to my kids because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how old you are, you
True.
have to be prepared.
True, because anything can happen at any age. Doesn't have to happen just because you're older. I went through some of that when my husband passed away years ago. There were some passwords and accounts I didn't even know about.
Right.
I mean, I knew about most of them, but then there were these surprises. And yeah, when you're in the midst of grieving, you don't need to go through that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I
yeah.
had somebody tell me the husband worked construction, big jobs, traveled internationally. When he died years later, they found a 65-acre ranch in Wyoming
That
that he
deal.
bought one time because it was a deal and he was working out there, but nobody knew. And
Oh my
so
God.
it's one of those, and it seems that men are worse at this than women, but we're all at fault of just not thinking about. And it's funny when I teach this class, there's usually at least one or two people. Well, yeah, Fred and I have talked, and I'm going first. Really? Yep. So you've have that all planned with the man upstairs that you
Yeah.
know that your ticket's punched and you get to go. So then I asked, so are you ready? Does Fred know where everything is? Well, I'm working on it.
Yeah, I
So
know. It's look, human nature is reactive, not proactive.
exactly.
So it's push. I mean, basically what you're teaching is pushing. I mean, I do the same thing with aging in place. People don't want to think about it. Oh, I don't need that yet. I don't need that yet. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but the point is that this thing or this service or whatever will keep you from needing it, you know. You mentioned on your website something about I don't know what it is. RUFADAA. It's a law.
Oh, that was in South Carolina. That was a law they passed for the Digital Asset Act. So giving people once you sign, when you can fill it out, that gives giving someone permission to have access to your usernames and passwords.
Oh,
But if you write them down and put them in a red notebook and tell your kids in the bottom left-hand drawer in the red notebook, they're there, you know. And I'll
yeah.
give you an example. So my sister passed away, and a year after her passing, there was a one of those reminders on Facebook. Today is Rosemary's birthday. Wish Rosemary a happy birthday. Well, it was kind of cool to see and then kind of creepy
Yeah.
because she had passed. But those online accounts, as you all know, stay live until somebody turns them off.
Yep.
And I knew she kept everything very organized. And so I called her husband and I said, hey, do you have her passwords? And he said, yeah, why? And I said, I don't know if you saw the post, but Facebook's reminding him about her birthday. And so he could shut it all down. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, Facebook and other, like even Apple, you can set up legacy accounts of someone passing. That person that they've designated can do this, but now they're gone. So now that means a death certificate. And that means, try to call Apple or Google or Facebook or Amazon and communicate with someone in person is impossible.
Right.
So this is, I call it the kind of the end around to make it easier and more manageable.
Yes, I think that's true. I want to get back to the life stats book. Do you, or have you considered, or do you provide that to um, as a white label for other companies to take?
Yes, yes, and
Okay,
thank you for mentioning that.
yeah,
So I absolutely do and have in the past. So the cool thing is I've used it with hospice companies, elder law attorneys,
perfect.
realtors, pretty much similar businesses that. So basically what happens is the cover changes to, let me see if I have one here. Um, like this is an elder law attorney. So my book is red, white, and blue. This one is an elder law attorney and it's green. So then
Perfect.
the logo, their information goes on there. The back information is now all contact information of that particular company. And my identity goes away from it, except for just a little tagline on the bottom to say that here's where it came from. So then this makes a really good giveaway for them,
Yes,
or even most companies, if they bought it from me, they're giving it. But I teach them, just don't hand this to someone and expect them to fill it out because they won't. I said,
right.
so work with me
Yeah.
selfishly to say, let's have a program today. Bring your power of attorney or whoever, and we're going to fill out the book. Now,
I
mind
l-
you, we get to the page where you don't know where the DD 214 is. That's okay. But when you go home, go look for it.
Right,
And,
right.
and so part of it is because it's only as good as if you fill it out.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if you don't fill it out, well, then it's worthless.
that's
And,
right.
and so yes, there's lots of opportunity. And I would love to, I can white label this to any company. I print them right here and I can ship them. If locally, I deliver them personally, but if not, I can, I have a lady in San Diego that buys them and gives them to her client. So
I love that because one, it's a branding tool for you. Two,
absolutely.
it's a marketing product for them. And, it's important for them, but they don't have to go through the process of making it. It's already made. And so I think sharing what you know, what you have with others who are really desperately looking for it.
Right.
Some may not even know they're looking for it, and they get presented with something going, "Hey, that's a great thing. Yes, I could definitely use that." So I love that. I love presenting people with ideas or products that you know opens up their minds to something else that can be adjacent to what they're providing, be it a product or service or whatever. Because I think so many people get tunnel vision. They know what they know, but they don't realize how much more it can be expanded. And look, these days, in order to put milk on the table, you have to expand because
Yeah,
there's
and the
just
collaboration with this is so cool. So like on the
yes,
inside cover, I know you probably can't see it. So at the bottom is a message from me, and it's basically this is why I created it.
I love it.
But at the top, once it's white labeled, this is a message from the president of the company, the CEO, whoever, and this is why we're giving it to you. And
I love
so
it.
they get to do a personalized message from
Yeah,
their company of why they're giving it to their clients and they've even, given it to families and their employees.
yeah,
Because, you got to kind of walk the talk. And so if here you are and you have a 50-person company or 100-person or 1,000-person company, what are you doing to help your families? That it's not if, it's when this is going to happen.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, even though it's an uncomfortable topic, it's, yeah, it's not if, it's when.
Right.
So last question. Do you get any questions in your classes about AI?
I do. And
And
it's interesting because I get a lot of people, well, I'm just going to use AI. And this is where probably some of your viewers and watchers are going to say he's old school and he's not keeping up with the times. If you don't know how to use your phone, why are you using AI?
yeah, I know.
So again, it's that using your technology confidently, effectively, and safely. I look at AI as augmenting that phone, that tablet, that computer that can kind of take you to the next level of, I don't know if usability is a word or not, but functionality and tools. Now it's funny because I lately, when somebody calls me, it's hey, and I'll ask them, how did you find me? AI.
Yeah,
So I'm like, okay, so it used to be Google,
right.
and so now there's another layer in there which is good for companies like you and me,
Hmm.
but I caution them to diving in the deep end head first in AI and really not understanding what it is. And again, can be very cool and very powerful, but also can be detrimental to someone who doesn't understand what's going on.
Right, right. Because just like anything, you can fall for misinformation. So that's the biggest issue, I think, with AI. Um, and also, a lot of my friends will use AI, but they aren't properly prompting it. So the information they're getting is not what they want. They get frustrated with it. And I said, well, you're not telling it, because you're so used to using Google, you
Right.
just put in a phrase and then you get, but with AI, you literally have to talk to it like you would talk to anybody. So it's
Which
different. It's
you know,
different.
and it's interesting you say that. So the cool thing about AI, I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's just like in a Google. So the example I use is, so okay, if where you live and you're saying, oh, we just moved here, we want to know where the best pizza is,
Yeah.
and you go into Google or AI and say best pizza,
Yeah.
and you're going to get like 35 million results.
Right.
But unless you become more specific in your ask,
Exactly.
and in AI, you can become granular in the ask
I
as
know.
opposed to best pizza where I live,
Yeah.
then defines it. But with AI, it could be where's the best crusty pizza that's New York style and it's within a 30 mile, I mean, all of a sudden you're gonna say Joe's place and he's 3 miles from you or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully, and obviously AI can be used more than just getting directions for and finding pizza, but
Oh, I know. It's true. I mean, for research, it's amazing, but you have to know how to talk to it.
exactly.
That's, I don't know if even prompt engine. I mean, I took classes in prompt engineering and I don't even know if that's, valid anymore because it's expanded so much lately. But it's the basic.
It
If you
is.
start learning the basic, just like learning HTML and then building, up, it's much easier to understand what is happening at least.
Sure, sure.
But but yeah, I mean, AI is not going anywhere.
No.
Bill, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Stay on after I finished, but I just want to thank you so much. Everyone, I want you to go to justcallbill.net. I mean, that is the coolest domain name that I've come across yet so far. So check it out. If you're in the area, I think you have upcoming classes in there, don't you? A list of
It
upcoming
probably needs to
classes?
be updated
Okay.
because yeah, there'll be some coming up in the fall, but I just finished a couple big scam prevention classes. So
Okay, well, check it out. And of course, if you're looking for a product like the Life Stats, booklet, please contact Bill because I think that is an amazing product to share with your clients and families and anyone else. Good Christmas gift. All right, Bill. I'm
Thank you
gonna,
very much. Appreciate it.
oh, you're more than welcome. Stay on just a bit and